I think G2 is the most slept on team at Worlds 2024 right now, and I genuinely think that they can do some damage to the eastern regions. They've been performing quite well so far, and I think the primary reason for that is that they're drafting to their strengths. If you notice, they're often picking champs that they're just naturally comfortable on, but really primarily they're picking Engage for Mickey and a winning lane for Hansama. If they can have a stable bot lane that gets ahead in the early game, you know Caps is going to perform, and you know Yike is usually on one of these more scaling picks, so he's going to be pretty consistent as well. So I think that overall G2 is doing a good job of drafting to their strengths, and also in a lot of cases they're just outclassing the eastern teams. In the game against Weibo, you can see here, Broken Blade just straight up solo killed the Rumble in the 1v1. And I know Galio is, a quote-unquote counterpick to Rumble, but it's a tank Galio and really shouldn't have much kill pressure in the early game. Also, the Orianna Nocturne combo is very effective as well. If you don't know what it is, you basically just put the Orianna ball on the Nocturne, he flies in with ultimate, and the shockwave goes off while he's in the air, and as soon as he lands, the shockwave pops, and it's really difficult to react to as the enemy team. So I think that G2's drafts have been pretty solid so far, and they've also played to their team's strengths very, very well. We can also see that Caps is performing very, very well. His Yone game was fantastic, even though they did end up losing that game. Really, really good Yone performance. So it looks like Caps is definitely at the top of his game, and the supporting cast around him seems to be doing a pretty good job as well. That was really my question surrounding G2 as we entered Worlds, was whether or not the rest of the team around Caps can perform consistently and stay up at his level. Because we knew Caps coming in was the best player the West had to offer, and we know he's going to be insane. The question I had was, will Broken Blade be consistent or not? Will Hans and Mickey just int the lane phase or not? And so far, neither of those things have been a problem. So I think that even though, yeah, Mickey still has the occasional run it down moment, and, everyone obviously will make mistakes on the team, but I think largely this team is playing quite well, and I think they're also playing above expectations. Even though LoL Esports ranked them in the top 10, I think it was number 5 or 6 in the global power rankings, which was surprising to me. I think a lot of people had Team Liquid and even FlyQuest maybe ahead of G2 in the power rankings coming into Worlds. And throughout this entire year, everyone's been really down on LEC as an entire region. But G2's really showing up, and I'm very impressed. Even though I picked them to get out of the Swiss stage, I still think they're overperforming relative to expectations, and it's really nice to see. Obviously, throughout this entire year, the consistent thing I've been saying is that I want Western teams to be able to challenge the Eastern teams, the top tier teams in the world. You don't have to beat them in best of fives, you don't have to destroy them in 20 minutes, just make it a competitive experience and challenge them to the best of their ability, and G2 is definitely doing that so far. I forgot who they actually lost to that Caps played Yone that was really close, but that game was an utter banger. It was HLE, that's what it was. The HLE game was really close, and they had multiple opportunities to win in that. They won against Weibo. They're looking very, very good right now, and they're challenging the Eastern teams, like I'm saying. So it's very impressive to see so far. Hopefully G2 can make it out of the Swiss stage. They're playing T1 in their best of 3 in a couple days here, so that's going to be a really interesting and really hype matchup. Again, their matchups at MSI were absolutely hype, and even at the EWC they faced off, I think, as well. Every time these two teams face off, it's an absolute banger series, so I'm really excited to see how it plays out. But honestly, I might even go into that series saying G2 is the favorite. Yes, T1 looked a lot better against BLG, but BLG is faltering currently, and T1 has proven to be very inconsistent, so I'm going to need more than one game out of them to really have faith restored in that team. So I think that G2 is in a really good spot heading into this series against T1. I think they have a good chance, even if they do lose, of getting a good matchup in the 2-2 bracket. So I think in all likelihood, G2 will be getting out of the Swiss stage and moving on to the top 8. In the top 8, anything can happen. It obviously depends a lot on matchups, but anything can happen any given day. Whatever team shows up on that day, any team has a chance to win. Anything can happen at Worlds, and that's the beauty of it. So overall, G2 I think is performing very, very well so far at Worlds. I'm really glad that a Western team is rising up and challenging Eastern teams consistently. Obviously, FlyQuest is doing a pretty good job of that as well, but G2 I think is right now outperforming expectations and just generally playing very well to their strengths, and just mechanically, individually as well, playing at a very high level, which is great to see. Thanks for watching. See you next time.